Good afternoon. Sorry to have kept you waiting. But I'll leave you late. That doesn't matter. Good afternoon, everybody online. No, you will not have a class on Sunday. Unfortunately, we don't have a space here. But you will have the class tomorrow. Divyanshi, I was answering your question. All right. Let's see this then. So, yesterday I just made you write agriculture and subsidy and so on. So what we will do is, we will get into the two major understandings and I hope you have read through your agriculture from the last section, so you will be knowing things now. Our major concern will be subsidies and how subsidies in agriculture are perverse in nature, because there are a lot of questions that they ask from there. And we will be mainly focusing on price subsidy, irrigation subsidy, fertilizer subsidy. Because these are the three major subsidies we give in agriculture. And we will do some extensive discussion on that. And the second concern that we will pick up now is what are the steps or what are the policies that the government has been making in the last, say, 5, 6, 7, 8 years to promote agricultural productivity or promote agricultural income and so on. Once I have taught you these two things, then we will spend half an hour talking about the steps taken for animal husbandry. All right, maybe 40 minutes if required. Steps taken for dairying, so white revolution, blue revolution, those things we will be going into. A small bit, but we will go into that and make sure that that part gets covered. So coming back to the beginning then, when we talk about price subsidy in agriculture, so when we say subsidies in agriculture, and we begin with price subsidy, there's some basic concepts we need to know and understand. So the first things first, when we talk about price subsidy in agriculture, this started from 1965-66. Now listen to this carefully before we go further. So what was happening was that when we became independent, then there was a food shortage situation, and that shortage had been tremendous since the Second World War. So government kept price control. 1948, 1949, there was a lot of price control kept by the government in the market. This price control persisted till 1950. In 1950, the government released this price control and set the prices free in the market. The government said that producers are allowed, whatever price they want, they can charge in the market. Within 2 years of doing this, 50 and 51, prices spiked a lot, food inflation became huge, and government again went back to creating price control from 1952. Price control means government will determine the price, markets are not allowed to fix the price. This was by 1952. 1954 onwards, they divided the country into rice zones and wheat zones. So we had 8 wheat zones all over India, rice zones all over India, and everything north of India was taken as a wheat zone. Again, you don't need to write all this. The notes I have given you have all these details. I'm just telling you the story on that. And the idea of rice zone and wheat zone was that this will help in stabilizing supply. And if supply is stabilized, then that will help in stabilizing price. But the major problem we were facing was acute shortage of food grains, which created food inflation and kept everybody on tenterhooks. क्योंकि जब पता है कमी है तो hoarding भी होगी, पता है कमी है तो लोग भी nervous रहेंगे. So it was kind of a fact situation where the consumers would be worried because they knew that there is a shortage and the price can spike anytime. And the hoarders and the manipulators, the black marketeers, they will be active because they knew there is a shortage and I have an opportunity to make money here. So all that was a situation we started things with. In that, finally then, after working on development and price control, everything, 1965, government established, this was financial year 65-66. Government established 3 major institutions to begin with. So one was system of government procurement from farmers. And for this system of government procurement from farmers, they established Food Corporation of India, FCI. Again, do read through your notes. I've given you some more things on FCI in case the question goes that side. So they established Food Corporation of India so that there is an institution which can purchase from the farmers. All right, that was the institution that okay, जब क्रॉप खरीदेंगे सरकार तो खरीदने के लिए एक संस्था होनी चाहिए, वो संस्था हुई FCI. All right, that if government has to buy crops, somebody got to be the institution purchasing it. That purchasing institution was FCI, number one. Then, along with that, government also created or government also developed within this another institution called CACP. This is Commission on Agricultural Cost and Price. Now the job of CACP was to establish agricultural produce marketing committee, APMC. So these will be government established mandis as they were called. All right, these will be government established mandis, APMC markets. So CACP will be responsible for establishing APMC for procurement of crops which could then be transferred to Food Corporation of India. तो CACP क्या करेंगे? वो establish करेंगे एक APMC. APMC का क्या काम होगा? क्रॉप प्रोक्योर करना फार्मर्स से और उसे ट्रांसफर करना टू फूड कॉर्पोरेशन ऑफ इंडिया. एक और बात समझिए आप यहां, CACP will give license through state government. लाइसेंस देने का जो responsibility होगा, that will be on state government. All right, the responsibility to give license will be on state government. So CACP will give license through state government to traders who can trade in APMC market. So what was the idea again? That it's not that APMC market will be a free for all. It's not that anybody can come and trade in APMC market. CACP through state government will create licensed traders. And these licensed traders will be the only ones who will be allowed to trade in the APMC market. All right, these licensed traders will be the only ones who will be allowed to trade in the APMC market. All right. So what was the purpose? The purpose was, if we give license to the traders, we can identify the traders, and in that case, the government can make sure that the traders don't exploit the consumers. All right, that if we give license to the traders, we can identify the traders, and government can make sure that the traders don't exploit the farmers majorly and then the consumers. That was the idea, that will be government controlled procurement entirely. Also, CACP was expected to determine and announce minimum support price, procurement price, and issue price. You give me 2 minutes, I will be going into that. But minimum support price, procurement price, and issue price. I will be teaching you that. Just give me some time. Along with Food Corporation of India, CACP, the government also established public distribution system under Ministry of Food and Agriculture, all right, PDS. All right, this was again 1965-66. So the government established, apart from these, the government establishes a third institution called Public Distribution System. I will teach you public distribution system, but I will teach you that when I am teaching you poverty. I will go into that and teach you public distribution system, but that will be with poverty. We will go in that direction. But government also established public distribution system. Now, what was this whole idea? Understand that. The idea was farmers will be given the incentive to come to APMC market, sell their crops even in a bad crop season at minimum support price to APMC traders. These APMC traders will then take these crops to the Food Corporation of India. Food Corporation of India will purchase these crops from the traders, and the traders will get MSP plus their commission. You understand the story? The traders will get MSP plus their commission. The Food Corporation of India then will release these food grains for consumption by poor or deprived or in the open market through public distribution system at the issue price. All right? So what was the idea? Protect the farmer in case of a bad crop by giving the farmer minimum support price. If the crop is not bad, if the market is not doing badly, if the prices are not too low, then you don't need to announce an MSP. Understand that. You have to announce a minimum support price only in situation when the crop is bad, only when farmers are unable to recover their cost of production. That was the idea. If it is not so, no MSP has to be announced. What has to be done then? Then the farmer can sell in the market. The farmer will get their returns from the market. And how about government? What's government's role in it? Government will need food grains for procurement for the purpose of food security. And government might need a cotton or a jute or a clove, spices and all for raw material in the public sector industries. So government will then procure, not at MSP, there will be a procurement price which will be declared by CACP, which will be nearer to the market price, and government will purchase this from the farmers, take these products for its use, and then in the years when things go bad and food prices are suddenly high, or for people who cannot afford buying food at market price, the government will release these food grains through the Food Corporation of India by the system of public distribution system into the market. Do I believe you understand the idea? So what is the idea? Protect the farmer through MSP and protect the consumer through issue price and public distribution system. All right? तो जो किसान है अगर उन पे कोई संकट आया तो MSP दे दीजिए ताकि वो बच जाए, उनसे प्रोक्योर कर लीजिए, रख लीजिए अपने पास, और किसी साल या किसी समय अगर कमी हो गई, if there is a shortage or the price is suddenly very high or there is hoarding and so on, then release the food grains into the market and reduce the price or control the price, discourage black marketing, because the black marketeers will know that government has these many food grains, and that will assure food security and that will assure farmers income security. The idea was that किसान का जो income है वो सुरक्षित रहे और जो consumers हैं उनके living standards protected रहे. This was the original idea of this whole system. I can believe everybody gets my point. So this is where this was designed. इसकी डिजाइनिंग ऐसे ही हुई थी. धीरे धीरे हम लोग एमएसपी का मतलब भूल गए, हम प्रोक्योरमेंट को भी एमएसपी समझने लगे. एमएसपी एक पॉपुलिस्ट स्कीम बन गया, that everybody will talk about MSP and so on. I'll teach you MSP in detail. I'm going towards that direction now. But remember, if the farmers say make MSP legal, and I will do this discussion with you in 5 minutes in some detail, then MSP can be made legal if MSP is understood as it was designed in 1965. If the farmer is in distress and the crop prices are going very low and the farmer cannot recover the cost, then there is no harm in making it a law that farmer will be protected by purchasing their crop at MSP. But that doesn't happen in our country. Also remember, why is the farmer sometimes fight? You'll have to give me some time as I discuss the entire agriculture, you will get me better. And recall the Evergreen Revolution talk, you will get me even better. But why is the farmer under distress? The farmer comes under distress. A major factor of that is because of lack of crop diversification. जब फार्मर कहते हैं मुझे पैसे नहीं मिल रहे मार्केट में, एक बहुत बड़ा कारण है कि वो चीजें प्रोड्यूस कर रहे हैं जो सब कर रहे हैं, तो पैसे कम मिल जाएंगे मार्केट में. एक कारण है, मैं ये नहीं कह रहा हूं एकमात्र कारण है, but this is one factor that if I am producing for the market and I am producing what everybody else is producing and there is a glut in the market, excess supply in the market, then the prices will come down. So I have to be careful what am I doing. Again, why the farmers do that, I will take you into that. We'll have to wait on that. But this is a challenge we see in Indian system. All right. तो यहाँ से रोल आता है कि सरकार क्या कर सकते हैं, क्यों क्रॉप डाइवर्सिफिकेशन कम है इंडिया में. अगर आपको याद हो, हमने क्रॉपिंग पैटर्न पे एक बात की थी और वहाँ 5-6 पॉइंट्स लिखे थे that why crop diversification is low in India or why we have a rice wheat economy in India. All right. So that rice wheat economy in India, why cropping pattern is skewed in India, that is an important discussion, because then if the farmers grow oil seeds, if they grow fruits and vegetables, if they grow say pulses, they might get more price from the market compared to what they're getting from wheat and rice. But then when will they get better price from the market? If you give farmers storage capacity, if you give farmers marketing facility, if you give farmers connectivity to the market, if you give farmers cold storage chain, if you give farmers insurance facility, if we give farmers faster connectivity like a Krishi Udan for high value crops before they become perishable. तो अगर ये चीजें मिले किसान को, तब तो वो सोचेंगे कि हाँ मुझे कुछ डाइवर्सिफाई करना चाहिए. नहीं तो वही ओल्ड टेक्निक चलता रहेगा कि यही करते रहते हैं, जो चल रहा है पैसे तो आ ही रहे हैं, कभी कम आ जाएंगे तो सरकार का गला पकड़ लेंगे. This is the challenge of Indian agriculture. It started here because where we forgot that what was MSP meant for. All right. So I'm making you write few things. Now you give a heading, or you write a statement. You write agricultural pricing. Agricultural pricing is determined before every cropping season by CACP, which has the mandate to announce and you write A, minimum support price, put a dash and write, and we'll keep calling it MSP. You write MSP is the minimum price at which government proposes to buy food grains and other crops from the market, from the farmers through APMC markets. Full stop. It is declared in those cases, I repeat, it is declared in those cases when farmer is unable to recover the cost of production from the market. Full stop. Farming cost has been defined. Farming cost has been defined in three possible ways. And you write 1, A2, and that is all explicit cost paid to hired factors of production like rent, wage, interest, cost of fertilizer, pesticides, seeds, irrigation, etc. So this is called A2. Mind you, apply your economics brain. It's explicit cost. वो पैसे जो आप किसी और को देंगे, इसमें opportunity cost included नहीं है. It does not include the opportunity cost of payment. This is explicit cost. Explicit cost as in I pay the money to someone. So if I have taken somebody's land on rent, or if I have hired some worker, or if I have taken some capital or loan and I have to pay interest on that, or if I have bought fertilizer, seeds, irrigation, etc. That will come under A2. But definitely then agricultural cost is not only A2. So what else gets added? So there is a second way of measuring it. It's called A2 plus FL. This is A2 plus estimated or opportunity cost of family labor. All right, that is A2 plus FL, estimated cost or opportunity cost of family labor. All right, अब मान लीजिए मैं काम कर रहा हूँ, मेरे साथ मेरे family के लोग भी काम कर रहे हैं. So suppose there are 2 people from my family who are working on the field. Then what is the opportunity cost of these 2 people? Now the finding of this opportunity cost is easy. Find out how much do you pay to a hired worker in that same locality. So suppose if the worker is hired at 200 rupees per day and people from my family have worked on my land for say 80 days in the whole cropping season, then that will mean 80 days into 200 rupees per day becomes the cost of one family labor. If there are 2 such people, then 2 into that. Do I believe we are clear on that? So in that case, that will also get added as a part of cost of production. And then there is another concept called C2, which is the comprehensive cost, as we call it. All right, another concept called C2, which is the comprehensive cost, as we call it. So now, what is this C2? this is A2 plus FL, A2 plus FL plus estimated rent. In some places you will also see a language imputed rent. It's the same thing, all right? Don't get bothered whether it is imputed rent, IMPUTED, or estimated rent, all right? So estimated rent of owner occupied and cultivated land, estimated rent of owner occupied and cultivated land. इसका क्या मतलब हुआ? जिस जमीन को मैं खुद अपनी जमीन पे अगर खेती कर रहा हूं तो उस जमीन का रेंट क्या मिलेगा उसके हिसाब से वो एस्टिमेटेड रेंट लिया जाए. Alright, if I am cultivating my own land, then what rent will I get on that land? That should be added here. And plus estimated interest on owner's capital supplied to agriculture. A2 plus FL plus estimated rent of owner occupied and cultivated land plus estimated interest on owner's capital supplied to agriculture. अब मैं तुम्हें एक एक करके बताऊंगा कि एमएसपी स्वामीनाथन कमीशन का रिपोर्ट क्या था और क्या दिक्कत है उसमें और लीगलाइज करने में क्या दिक्कत है. मैं आपको लिखवा भी दूंगा बिकॉज थिंग्स आर गेटिंग हीटेड अप. यू माइट बी आस्क्ड दीज थिंग्स एट टाइम्स, सो आई विल मेक यू राइट इट ऑल्सो. बट अंडरस्टैंड दिस नाउ. एक बात तुम एज एन इकोनॉमिक्स स्टूडेंट सोचना, क्योंकि अब आप मैच्योर्ड इनफ स्टूडेंट्स हो. एक बात सोचिए, गांव में हर जमीन अलग अलग तरह की होगी. You understand that the land quality will be different. Calculating estimated rent of each land area and then fixing it to be given to the farmer is theoretically possible but practically very unviable. Do I believe I'm reaching you on that? कि आप जब MSP announcement कैसे होती है आप ये भी सोचिए. The central government will announce an MSP and the state governments are allowed that if they want they can add from their side some extra money that they want to give to their farmers. That is how it goes. MSP का सिस्टम ऐसे ही है देश में. सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट एक MSP अनाउंस करते हैं that this is the MSP we are announcing. Now it's up to the state government's choice. If they want, अगर स्टेट गवर्नमेंट को लगता है नहीं ये अभी भी पूरा नहीं कर रहा है चीज़ों को, तो स्टेट गवर्नमेंट उसमें ऐड कर देते हैं और अपने फार्मर्स को पैसे दे सकते हैं. This is how it goes. The point I am making is, if you make it C2, on that basis, then how do you estimate the rent of the land? Because अब सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट को कैसे पता चला कि हर डिस्ट्रिक्ट का क्या रेंट है, हर डिस्ट्रिक्ट में हर विलेज में क्या रेंट हो सकता है और हर विलेज में पर्टिकुलर लैंड एरिया का क्या रेंट होगा. ये समझना पड़ेगा. ये अगर नहीं करें तो एक ब्लैंकेट करना पड़ेगा. दिस इज अ टिपिकल एसिमेट्रिक इंफॉर्मेशन प्रॉब्लम. अंडरस्टैंड दैट. It's microeconomics issue that I have asymmetric information about what rent should be for which. So I have another option, take an average and fix that average as the rent. But if I fix the average as the rent, I will harm the landowners which have higher rent value and I will unnecessarily reward those landowners who have a lesser rent value. Because मैं average तो दोनों को मिला के निकालूंगा. आप याद करिए asymmetric information में भी यही दिक्कत आती थी ना, that when you took the average, then you will have adverse selection. So this becomes the challenge. Number one. अब उससे भी worse challenge सोचो. Estimated interest on owner's capital supplied to agriculture. If you know even wee bit about Indian agriculture, which I am expecting you to, that at least a wee bit you would know, imagine how do you verify how much capital was supplied by each farmer on their piece of land? किस बेसिस से डिसाइड करेंगे आप? वो फार्मर कहेंगे भाई मैंने अपने ज़मीन पे जो क्रॉप है सॉरी जो सॉयल है उनको मिक्स करवाया था और उस पर मेरा खर्चा हुआ था, ये मेरा कैपिटल इन्वेस्टेड है. कोई कहेंगे मैंने हार्वेस्टर खरीदा, कोई बोलेंगे मैंने ट्रैक्टर खरीदा. आप समझ पा रहे हैं मेरी बात? Because then you are saying that whatever is your interest on capital should be included as a. Now, it's not a bad idea, but the challenge is how do you verify that in a country which has 7 lakh villages and 18 crore people reporting themselves as farmers or farming households. So this is a challenge that you will have. अब हो सकता है कोई शहर में हो, अपना नेक्स्ट आईएएस में कोचिंग में पढ़ाते हो, गांव में उनके पास जमीन हो, उनको जब पता चलेगा ये भी मिलेगा मुझे सरकार से, तो जानबूझ के अपना नेक्स्ट आईएएस का कमाया हुआ पैसा से गांव में ट्रैक्टर खरीद लेंगे. The fellow will buy a tractor in the village and say, look, I have invested, now pay my interest. And अगर यहां तक बात रुक जाए तो फिर भी गनीमत है. शहर में कार खरीद के गांव में ट्रैक्टर के कागज बनवाएंगे और सरकार को दिखाएंगे, देखो मैंने ये खरीदा है. ये सारी हरकतें होती हैं हमारे यहाँ. So this is one challenge, that it looks lovely that we should give the farmers money which is their cost of production and so on, but this is a challenge. Now, before I take you into the challenges and the idea, so I hope you are clear on this part. Okay, yes. नहीं, इंटरेस्ट तो अलग चीज है ना. मैंने ट्रैक्टर खरीदा, मैंने हार्वेस्टर खरीदा, मशीन खरीदे, उस पर कैपिटल की पे इंटरेस्ट मिलता है ना. हाँ, तो मुझे मिलेगा, वो ऐड होगा मेरे कॉस्ट में, और वो नाजायज नहीं है. इसमें गलत क्या है? अगर मान लीजिए, एक मिनट क्लियर, नेक्स्ट आईएएस मेरी कंपनी है, मैं उसमें अपना काम दे रहा हूं, तो मुझे लेबर तो मिलना चाहिए ना उसका. यू कांट ओनली गिव मी एंटरप्रेन्योरियल इनकम, आई शुड गेट माई लेबर इनकम. सो इट्स नॉट एन इनवैलिड थिंग, you know, that if I am using my own land and I'm not renting it, then I'm losing the rent I would have earned by renting it out, no? So I must get that value. That is the cost of my production. You understand that? Now, see, please understand this now. So, initially government of India started giving MSP. I'll make you write all this. आप अभी बस समझ लीजिए बातें, मैं आपको इस पर एक write up दे दूंगा. So, initially government of India started giving MSP on wheat and rice. All right, these two crops. Gradually, wheat and rice, then oil seeds got added, 7 oil seeds, then 5 kind of pulses got added. This way the numbers kept increasing. Today, we give MSP on 22 types of crops and plus a fair and remunerative price on sugarcane. All right? MSP नाम से जो चीजें दी जाती हैं, वो 22 क्रॉप्स पे दी जाती हैं, और जो शुगरकेन पे दिया जाता है, वो FRP है. अखबार में लिख देते हैं 23 क्रॉप्स पे MSP मिलता है. ये टेक्निकली गलत बात हो जाएगी. द करेक्ट थिंग इज 22 क्रॉप्स इज वेयर वी गिव MSP and 1 crop is where we give FRP, fair and remunerative price. Again, जैसे MSP में, ऐसे ही शुगर केन पर भी रूल है that the state governments, if they want, they can add their state advised price, SAP. All right, so to FRP, to MSP, the state governments can add their SAP, state advised price. Understand this now. Till 2005, there was no formula, there was no rule by which we would give MSP. There was no talk of a rule also. Ministry of Agriculture would estimate the costs and will give the farmers or declare MSP according to those costs. This used to be the case in India till 2005. In 2006, Swaminathan Commission, we have already talked about it in Evergreen Revolution. Swaminathan Commission suggested that if we want to remunerate the farmers better, the farmers should get C2 plus 50% of C2, which is say 1.5 times C2. This was Swaminathan Commission's recommendation. Well, unfortunately, the committee never suggested why or on what basis are they recommending this. Professor Swaminathan has been a very respectable person. Unfortunately, he passed away this year. And he has been a big expert in agriculture. But unfortunately, he has not been an accountant or an economist. So suggesting on cost or production is something that was not his expertise. Remember that. You know? अब क्यों मैं ये कह रहा हूँ आपको बताता हूँ. इसकी 2 गलतियां बताऊंगा आपको, इसमें 2 दिक्कतें क्या हैं, फिर आगे की कहानी सुनाऊंगा. So till 2005, I repeat, there was no rule about MSP in India. And then Swaminathan Commission suggested 1.5 times C2. Problem one, I have already told you, difficulty in estimation of rent, difficulty in estimation of interest. You don't have data sets, and even if you have data sets, going into those micro data, each field level, and then how do you fix separate rent and separate interest for each farmer then? And again, I repeat, if you fix a blanket, you're not helping people much. Okay. Second mistake is, मुझे एक बात सोच के आप बताइए, कौन सा ऐसा बिजनेस है इस दुनिया में हशीश बेचने के अलावा? हशीश मारिजुआना को हिंदी में बोलते हैं तो अफीम समझते होंगे आप लोग तो मेरे अफीमचियों इस बात को समझो तो अफीम बेचने के अलावा, चलिए आपके लैंग्वेज में ही आपको बताता हूं, 50% प्रॉफिट मार्जिन किस बिजनेस में है? ये क्या बेसिस हुआ? C2 plus 50%? Which business will give you 50% profit margin? Think about it. You know? नहीं, अल्कोहल नहीं, अफीम. अल्कोहल का प्रॉफिट मार्जिन 20-30% है. You know, वहां कुछ है प्रॉफिट मार्जिन ऐसा. लेकिन फार्मिंग इज अ चैलेंज देयर. लेकिन किसी कारण से स्वामीनाथन कमीशन ने कहा C2 plus 50%. ये एक और दिक्कत थी कि हमने कोई बेसिस नहीं बनाया कि 50% किस बेसिस पे हम कह रहे हैं. खैर, ये एक बात है. There was one more mistake that Swaminathan Commission, maybe in its zeal to help the farmers, was not realizing. अगर आप MSP फिक्स करेंगे on a cost plus basis, तो आप फार्मर को कैसे इंसेंटिवाइज करेंगे to reduce the cost of production by improving their techniques? By this kind of a formula, you are incentivizing the farmer, remain costly, grow costly. The costlier you are, more are your remuneration. If I produce for 100 rupees, I will get 50 rupees extra. If I produce for 200 rupees, I will get 100 rupees extra, no? Then you are incentivizing me to produce for 200 rupees and keep increasing my cost every year. And I will never resist why diesel prices are rising. I will never resist why fertilizer prices are rising. I will never resist why rental costs are rising. I am a happy soul, no? That's not a good thing to do. ये गड़बड़ करेगा इकोनॉमी के लॉन्ग टर्म बेनिफिट के लिए और फूड इन्फ्लेशन के लिए हैवक प्ले करता है. अगर आप कहते हैं पता नहीं कैसे वीट का प्राइस 10% से बढ़ रहा है, पता नहीं क्या, आपका एमएसपी हर साल 10% से बढ़ रहा है. So if you are increasing minimum support price by 10%, your food price will rise at least by 10%. आप गेहूं का दाना 10% ज्यादा पे खरीदेंगे तो आटा कैसे सस्ता मिलेगा भाई? ये समझाइए. उसी गेहूं के दाना से आटा निकलता है. और अगर आप कहेंगे नहीं मैं किसान को प्रोटेक्टेड रखना चाहता हूं, तो फिर उस केस में मार्केट में प्राइस बढ़ने दीजिए. जब मार्केट में प्राइसेस बढ़ते हैं तो अखबारों में छपता है, इन द न्यूज़पेपर्स दे राइट, पुअर पीपल आर इन ट्रबल नाउ बिकॉज द प्राइस ऑफ फूड ग्रेन्स इज राइजिंग इन द मार्केट. बट आई डोंट अंडरस्टैंड बिकॉज आई ऑलवेज थिंक वी हैव अ नेशनल फूड सिक्योरिटी एक्ट एंड अ प्रधानमंत्री गरीब कल्याण अन्न योजना अंडर विच वी आर डिस्ट्रीब्यूटिंग फ्री फूड ग्रेन्स टू 800 million people in India. So if we are distributing free food grains to 800 million people in India, then those poor people should be insulated of the rise in food price. Newspapers can't have their cake and eat it too, no? वो चतुर घोड़ा में एक तो पकड़ना पड़ेगा. या तो किसान को सपोर्ट कर सकते हैं, उस केस में प्राइस बढ़ेगा, या प्राइस को कंट्रोल कर सकते हैं, उस केस में किसान को थोड़ा कम पैसा मिलेगा. अब दोनों कैसे कर सकते हैं? अगर किसान को सिखाया जा सके और उनको फैसिलिटीज दी जा सके. I'll just repeat myself in English so that, I'm sorry, I just kept speaking in Hindi. So I was saying that if you try protecting the farmer by increasing the cost of the MSP, then you are hurting the consumer because the price will rise in the market. And if you try protecting the consumer by not letting the price rise in the market, then you will have to find some less MSP method or at least some less procurement price to the farmer. And if you don't do both, you will have a very high inflated food bill, subsidy bill. If you don't want any of these, then what do you need? If you don't want any of these, then you will have to provide good irrigation facility, good marketing facility, incentivize production of high value crop, invest in agriculture. You recall the investment discussion we had done? Invest in agriculture. If you invest in agriculture, we will reduce the cost of production, which will mean the farmer will still get a better return without necessarily increasing the price in the market. Understand that? But वो बात ही नहीं करते हमारे यहाँ कोई ज़्यादा. हमारे यहाँ बात होती है एमएसपी दे दो, एमएसपी दे दो, ज़्यादा दे दो किसान. आप सारा अखबार पढ़ लीजिए. मैं पिछले 2-3 दिन से काफ़ी ढूंढ रहा था इन चीज़ों को लेकर. बोलते ही नहीं है इन्वेस्टमेंट करो एग्रीकल्चर में. बोलते ही नहीं है कॉस्ट ऑफ प्रोडक्शन को कम करो. रिड्यूस द कॉस्ट ऑफ प्रोडक्शन बाय इन्वेस्टिंग. प्रेशर ऑफ पॉपुलेशन कम करो एग्रीकल्चर से. Industrialize karo so that industries will absorb people from agriculture, disguised unemployment will be reduced, seasonal unemployment will be reduced. Another thing which is adding cost in agriculture will come down. Be efficient to control the price. Otherwise, the price control will also be inefficient, which has been happening in India and will become unsustainable. अब MSP की एक रियलिटी भी आपको, आप समझ रहे हैं यहां तक मेरी बात? MSP की आपको एक रियलिटी भी बता देता हूं. We are declaring MSP on 22 crops plus FRP on sugarcane. But 41% of total MSP paid in India is on paddy, that is rice. 23% of total MSP paid in India is on wheat. And 9% of total MSP paid in India is on maize. 73% of total MSP paid in India is on wheat, rice, wheat and maize. I'm sorry, मैंने maize बोला, mustard है वो, my mistake. So rice, wheat and mustard. 41%, 23% and 9%. 73% of MSP on just these three crops. It's more interesting, it will get better for you. Then there are other 10 crops, pulses and oilseeds, where another 25-26% of MSP is paid. And imagine, then there are the other 10 crops, 9 crops, on which only 1% of total MSP expenditure is done, which means on many of them, no MSP is paid, because on many of them, the farmers get higher than MSP price in the market. जब किसान sunflower बेचने जाते हैं, oil, उनको MSP की ज़रूरत नहीं पड़ती. When they go and sell linseed oil, they don't need an MSP. When they go and see tur, pulse, they don't need an MSP. Chickpea, chana that is, they don't need an MSP. It's already getting a price in the market higher than MSP, so no need of giving an MSP. That is one aspect to keep in mind. All right. So जब भी MSP की बात हो, and I'll give you a detailed discussion which I'm trying to give you. So जब भी MSP की बात हो, तो ये समझना जरूरी है that 73% of total MSP expenditure of the government is concentrated on 3 crops: paddy, wheat, and mustard. And that is why you will see Punjab, Haryana farmers so agitated, because heavy amount of paddy, wheat and mustard is actually purchased from these areas. But I'll tell you the more reasons for their agitation, but this is one. So, and I repeat again, other than that, there are 10 other crops on which the rest 25% is paid. There are 6 crops on which no MSP is needed. And there are other 3 crops on which the rest 3-4% is paid. ये MSP की स्टोरी है. कहने का मतलब क्या है मेरा? अगर हम किसान को थोड़ा encourage कर सकें, if we can encourage the farmers to gradually shift towards high value crops, then our requirement to give MSP will be reduced and the farmer's income will not fall, will rather rise. That is one. Our glut of wheat and rice will not be there. जो इतना सारा wheat, rice इकट्ठा हो रखा है, उसकी ज़रूरत नहीं रहेगी. तो ये ज़रूरी है हमें करना ये काम. अब एक बात दूसरी, अब उसकी अगली बात पे आते हैं. Should we legalize MSP? Okay, so what does legalizing MSP imply? Legalizing MSP implies that whatever the government has declared as the minimum support price, now nobody can buy below that price, otherwise it will be a criminal offense. सरकार ने MSP डिक्लेयर कर दिया, अगर उससे कम दाम पे आप खरीदेंगे वो क्रिमिनल ऑफेंस होगा. This is something which we have already tried doing in sugarcane. The fair and remunerative price declared in sugarcane plus the state advised price is a guaranteed price, and it is a legally guaranteed price. So what is the rule? Whatever is the price declared by the government, the sugarcane farmers will sell their sugarcane to the mill owners, and the mill owners have to pay the farmers the declared price within 15 days, understand this now, within 15 days of crushing the sugarcane and getting sugar out of that. Now what is the net result then? Huge arrears, more than 8,000 crore in Uttar Pradesh, rupees ki baat kar raha hu, and more than 3,000 crore rupees in Maharashtra, where there are dues not paid to the farmers because the sugar mills say that, look, I am not recovering it from the market, that amount that I can pay to the farmers, so I am willing to pay, and I am willing to consider it as an arrear, but I will be able to pay only when I get the money. And since the price of sugar has been controlled by the government and is not allowed to rise, I am unable to pay the price to the sugarcane producer, and now that has resulted in thousands of crores of arrears around. And what do the private buyers do? Ye to sarkari log hue. What do the private buyers do? They don't buy. Whenever they find the price too high, higher than what the market can afford, they say, we're not buying from you. But in reality, you know what happens? They don't buy formally, but then they bully the farmers and tell them, look, you have a perishable crop, and this crop goes down very soon. It's sugarcane, mind you, and that applies on any agricultural crop. So you sell it to us at a lesser price, and we will purchase it from you, but then we cannot report it to the government, and you cannot report it to the government, so we won't pay you the FRP. What does a farmer do? A farmer has to sell it to the producers at a lesser price, and the farmer gets more exploited than less. That's not alone. Last year, I'm giving you 23, no, not last year, so sorry. 21-22, out of total wheat produced in India, government procured 28%, and the rest was sold in the open market. And out of total rice procured in India, produced in India, government procured 40%, the rest was sold in the market. अब आप सोच के देखिए, सरकार को खरीदने की शक्ति कहाँ है इतनी सारी? अगर आप MSP लीगलाइज कर देंगे और सरकार कहेंगे भाई इससे ज्यादा मैं खरीद नहीं सकता, 28% produced wheat and 40% produced rice. Why am I giving wheat and rice example? Because these are the two crops on which legally it is open procurement. आप जितना लाएंगे मैं खरीदूंगा. You know, I'll buy whatever you bring. But still this is the procurement amount that the government has done. What does the farmer do tomorrow if you legalize MSP and then fail to purchase it from the market beyond a lumber? And the private sector says, no, we are not buying because it's too high a price. So this whole idea has to need an overhauling. ये पूरे idea की overhauling होनी जरूरी है. हमारी दिक्कत यहाँ पर ये है that we are not trying to think fresh. We are still thinking 1965. Give an MSP, etc. Save the farmer. We got to overhaul this idea, and then only we go better, and we can do what is that overhaul? I'll take you into that. But I hope you get the point I'm making. So legalizing MSP sounds great on paper. Legalize it, but where do you? Then some people say, no, we are not only saying wheat and rice. You legalize MSP on all 22 crops, which will incentivize the farmers to grow other crops, and then they will grow other crops being assured they will get some MSP on that. Perfect. You legalize MSP, and then the farmers say, okay, I'll get banana, I can grow banana, and I can grow banana कह रहा हूँ, go banana नहीं कह रहा. I can grow banana, and I can grow pulses and maybe oil seeds, and now I have an MSP assured. Fair enough. Even if government purchases those oil seeds or those pulses and the farmers grow it, what will the government do with it? Think about that. What does the government do? Then you will need food processing industries where you can send them, get them processed, produce them more, get them high value, which are missing in India at the moment. And if there are food processing industries tomorrow, then in any case, farmers will not need the government. The farmers will have a ready market where they can go and sell their product. So we need to invest that side. Mega food park इतने दिनों से announce कर रखे हैं, अब बना भी लें. That is the point. It's been announced for so long. Let's go ahead and implement it. So this is the point I'm trying to drive home to you, that when you talk about MSP in India, it's very untoward to say that, oh, promise an MSP and make it a legal right. Again, I repeat, you make it a legal right. What if, again, aap kahenge, nahi sir, we will put it in the law that government will have to purchase all that the farmers have produced. Perfect. So in India, we have 330 million tons of food grains. Government should be purchasing all of that. We have 48 million tons potato, 22 million tons tomato, 26 million tons onion, 18 million tons of maize. रखेंगे कहाँ? और खरीदने के लिए पैसा कहाँ से आएगा? 8 लाख करोड़ से 10 लाख करोड़ रुपए लगेंगे इसमें. तो कैसे लीगलाइज्ड एमएसपी वैलिडिटी के साथ इंप्लीमेंट होगा? आप कभी पढ़ के देखिएगा अपने आसपास. अनफॉर्चुनेटली ये बातें ज्यादा लोग नहीं कर रहे. झगड़ा ये चल रहा है, या इंडियन एक्सप्रेस ने तो बड़े अच्छे से ये भी लिख दिया कि मांगना गलत नहीं है, बहुत अनसर्टेन बिजनेस है एग्रीकल्चर. वो तो कोचिंग इंडस्ट्री भी है, तो मैं एमएसपी मांगू सरकार से? इट्स एन अनसर्टेन बिजनेस. यू लव मी टुडे, यू कैन हेट मी टुमारो. व्हाट टू डू देन? अंडरस्टैंड दिस. दैट कैन नॉट बी द रीजन. ये तरीका निकालना पड़ेगा कि किसानों की आमदनी कैसे बढ़ाई जाए, how to increase the income of the farmer, how to improve their position without compromising efficiency in the system. It's very important to understand like that. What else is happening apart from that? The rich farmers are hiding behind the poor farmers and demanding this MSP, because according to Economic Survey 2017, 41% farmers in India, 41% farmers in India had not even heard of MSP. उन्होंने न्यूनतम आधार मूल्य का नाम तक नहीं सुना था कि इस नाम की कोई चीज होती है इस देश में. That there is something called minimum support price. Why does that happen? Because Uttar Pradesh, Punjab, Haryana, Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh, Tamil Nadu, and Karnataka. Maharashtra. These are the 7 states with a well-established procurement system. Other states apart from these don't even have a proper procurement system. सरकार खरीदते ही नहीं है फार्मर से, बहुत ज़्यादा. और ज़्यादा गरीब लोग किधर है? बिहार में, झारखंड में, असम में, ईस्टर्न उत्तर प्रदेश में. यहाँ एमएसपी प्रोक्योरमेंट का नाम ही नहीं सुना किसी ने. नॉर्थ ईस्ट के स्टेट्स में, अपार्ट फ्रॉम असम, से मणिपुर और नागालैंड एंड सो ऑन, Orissa, and people have not heard of MSP because state governments have their own methods of procurement, but they don't give MSP to the farmers. So keep feeding the rich farmer, legalize it for the rich farmer, don't invest in agriculture, don't diversify the crop, and keep India poor perpetually for keeping some rich Indians perpetually rich. That is what one has to understand. Farmers की complaint नाजायज बिल्कुल नहीं है, समझिएगा मेरी बात. The complaint of the farmers is not invalid. They are facing a situation where the cost of production has gone up. Take a minute. They are facing a situation where cost of production has gone up. For example, fertilizer prices have gone up, diesel price has gone up, storage costs have gone up. But where does it become a problem? If the cost of production is rising and I am not having any incentive to reduce my cost of production, and I am not diversifying my crop to get high value production which can cover for the higher cost of production. I am not getting insurance support which will make sure that I can take a risk, and tomorrow if the risk fails, I will get insurance for myself which will take care of the things. This is the debate we need to develop. That okay, if we can't give them MSP high enough, what can we do so that we can uplift and upgrade the farmers? Do I believe I reach you? Yes, yes. Okay, you tell me why farmer can't sell sugarcane to the government. Geography apply करो, science apply करो. क्या होता है sugarcane में unique? और क्या होता है उस सुक्रोज के साथ? the sucrose content is lost very quickly as you harvest the crop. अब सोचो फार्मर एफसीआई को डाउन जाए, तब तक तो सुक्रोज कंटेंट खत्म। वो नहीं चली ना, गवर्नमेंट की चलाई हुई बहुत स्कीम्स चलती ही नहीं है, क्योंकि स्कीम का प्रोविजन ही गलत होता है। आपको तो बेचना ही पड़ेगा उनको जिनके पास, अब सोचो फार्मर पहले गवर्नमेंट के पास जाए, गवर्नमेंट फार्मर से खरीदे और फिर गवर्नमेंट उसको मिल्स को बेचे, तब तक कितना सुक्रोज कंटेंट बचेगा? तो नहीं खरीद चलेगा ये स्कीम। समझ रहे हो मेरी बात? एक चीज, मेरी बात रुक जाना अभी, एक चीज चल सकती है अगर किसान और व्यापारी अपनी चोरी करने की इच्छा कंट्रोल करें। देयर इज अ फीजिबल ऑप्शन if the farmers and the traders can control their human elements. I'll tell you why I say that. In 2017, Madhya Pradesh initiated a scheme in the Kharif crop called Price Deficiency Payment Scheme or Bhavantar Bhugtan Yojana. The farmer takes the crop to the market, the farmer sells in the market. If the farmer gets lesser price than the MSP, then whatever is the difference between market price and MSP, the farmer can bring the bill to the government and government will compensate the deficiency to the farmer. What is the benefit of that? Government will not have to purchase beyond what it needs. So the government is saved from storage cost and transportation cost. Government will not have to pay for the entire crop and farmer will still get the MSP. The best part about this is WTO compliant. WTO will never object to this kind of a thing because Government of India is not procuring the crop. This is being sold in the market. Government is only paying direct benefit transfer for price deficiency. Why did this scheme not succeed as much? अभी हरियाणा में भी ये स्कीम चल रही है, मध्य प्रदेश में शुरू हुई थी, अभी 2020 से हरियाणा में है ये स्कीम। मैं उसका नाम मिस कर रहा हूँ, भावांतर नाम नहीं है, वहाँ कुछ और नाम रखा उन्होंने, भुगतान है उसके बाद फिर से। I'll check and let you know surely. तो दिक्कत क्या आती है स्कीम में या क्या आई? The farmers would go to the market and then the traders and farmers will manipulate the market. So what will the traders tell the farmers? You sell it to us at an even lesser price because you will be compensated for the lesser price by the government anyways, and then we will sell it at a relatively higher price in the market and we will share with you a part of the profit. And the farmer said, okay, perfect. ये तुम ठीक बात बोले, दोनों मिलकर सरकार को लूटते हैं। अब सरकार चलाने वाले लोग घास खा के चला नहीं रहे। So they did it one season and they got caught. It came down to the collectors and came down to people and they said, look, this is happening. Let's be more than careful about this price deficiency payment scheme. But this price deficiency payment scheme or Bhavantar Bhugtan as it was called, Bhavantar means bhavo ka antar. The difference between price in the market and price in the price of MSP. That will be compensated by the government. It's a very win-win situation. And that is something we can think of, but it will need better administration, education of the farmer, and this can be declared on multiple crops, and this doesn't burden the government with storage, this doesn't burden the government with transportation, and this doesn't burden the government with very high bill. But again, I repeat, the challenge will be if the farmers cheat. Second challenge is if it is implemented in particular states and it is not implemented all over India. That also what happened in Madhya Pradesh's case. They had implemented it in pulses. So now what the traders will do, they will buy it cheap in Madhya Pradesh and then they will take their product and sell it in Maharashtra at a relatively lesser price than what the Maharashtrian traders could sell. And that again created heartburn. Because the traders in Maharashtra now told their government either give us the same benefit or stop these guys from coming in. So that becomes a trouble part again. Another trouble is farmers are not very literate, many cases, and they are not very informed, many cases again. So we will have to develop the structure properly so that every farmer is registered and the payment is made on time into their accounts so that they have enough money to purchase their next crop and they don't feel cheated or they don't feel out of place in participating in such a scheme. आप समझ पा रहे हैं मेरी ये बात यहाँ तक? चलिए अब इसके MSP के ऊपर कुछ बातें लिखवा देता हूँ। अच्छा पहले दो बातें और लिख लो, फिर MSP की या पहले आप MSP पे ही लिख लो, फिर दो बातें और उसके बाद कर लेंगे। यस यस ओके सॉरी, हाँ, भावांतर भरपाई योजना ये कह रहे हैं हरियाणा में, सही सर, थैंक यू अजय फॉर हेल्पिंग। हाँ प्लीज। उस पर दे रहे हैं ऑलरेडी, उसी के लिए तो स्ट्रक्चर बनाना पड़ेगा ना, द स्ट्रक्चर इज द की फैक्टर देयर। नो, cooperatives also cannot help much in case of sugarcane, Karan. The forward agreements can be signed, but that will need market price discovery. That is due to market fluctuations should be more demand and less supply. Garlic, onion ये seasonal fluctuations होते हैं। महेंद्र एक बात सोचो, कितना भी स्मॉल प्रोडक्ट हो या प्राइस हो, 50% प्रॉफिट की बात हो रही है। 1000 रुपए की खेती की तो 1500 रुपए मिलेंगे। क्या रिक्शे वाले को यह बेनिफिट मिलता है? वो भी तो स्मॉल चीजें बेच रहे हैं। और गुटखा बेचने वाले को आप लोग सोच के देखिए, आई मीन दिस कैन नॉट, आई मीन 50% प्रॉफिट इज एक्सॉर्बिटेंट, यू कांट प्रॉमिस दैट टू एनीवन। एक बात और समझिए, टोटल एग्रीकल्चरल प्रोक्योरमेंट of government of India, total agricultural procurement of government of India is 2.05 lakh crore rupees. सोचो अगर इसका 50% प्रॉफिट मार्जिन है, 1 लाख करोड़ रुपए की बात कर रहे हैं हम लोग। तो आपको मुझे आज का दिन और कल का दिन देना पड़ेगा टू एक्सप्लेन एवरीथिंग इन एग्रीकल्चर टू यू। That is why I was very reluctant participating in the beyond classroom discussion today, that is on farmers agitation. I said, look, I will need 2 hours to explain everything to people, and people will need 2 hours or 1.5 hours to listen to everything patiently. Otherwise, people get sentimental, and when people get sentimental, it becomes a problem. तो सेंटिमेंट में आके लोग फिर बोलते हैं नहीं आप एंटाई किसान हो, आप चाहते हो किसानों की तरक्की ना हो, वो फिर फायदा ही नहीं होगा बात करने से। इसीलिए मैं टेलीविजन स्टूडियोज में भी नहीं जाता, क्योंकि मैं देखता हूँ कि आप कितना जोक सह सकेंगे आखिर। दैट इज the major challenge, but this is the point to keep in mind. I'll just take a second. I had a hand raised there. Yes, yes. No, so I'll complete my story and then maybe your question will be answered. So I'll take a minute. Ek second, rukna. So 2005, Swaminathan Commission suggests this. From 2005 till 2017, that's very interesting coming from Rahul Gandhi ji, that we will promise you MSP. Well, he was in power from 2005 to 14. He didn't do that. So maybe being out of the power for 10 years has taught him few things. But he was in power, and Swaminathan Commission was a commission established by his government only. And they had supposedly accepted the Swaminathan Commission recommendation. But again, I repeat, from 5 till 14, no action was taken on fixing this formula. Then in 2017, the government has finally agreed, and they are giving MSP on that basis now, that we will give you MSP as 50% ahead or above A2 plus FL. You understand that? Not C2 plus 50% of C2, but A2 plus FL plus 50% of A2 plus FL. All right? So the farmers are getting 1.5 times A2 plus FL. And why does the government say they are doing this? Because they said, I mean, it was a committee headed by Dr. Ramesh Chand. You might have heard his name. He's a very prolific agricultural economist and a wonderful human being also. So in fact, when I met him first, I had actually was looking forward to seeing him, but I had never seen him in the past. And he was sitting in the corner, and supposedly he was going to be the first speaker. और वो corner में बैठे थे, तो मैं भी जाकर बैठ गया. तो मुझे लगा अच्छा ये भी कोई मेरी तरह आए हैं, अब बोलेंगे ये भी. और कुछ देर बाद कोई और आ नहीं रहे थे, हम ही 2 लोग थे जो टाइम पर आ गए थे. तो बाकी लोग उस मीटिंग में आ नहीं रहे थे टाइम पर. तो हम दोनों को लगा कि बातचीत करनी चाहिए. तो मैंने इंट्रोड्यूस किया, मैंने कहा सर आई एम, बिकॉज ही इज मच एल्डर टू मी, सो आई सेड सर आई एम डॉक्टर विभास झा. एंड ही सेड नाइस टू मीट यू, आई एम डॉक्टर रमेश चंद. ये मैं इन्हीं से मिलने आया था आज. दिस वॉज वे बैक 2004. But then, he's a very gentleman kind of a person. So Dr. Ramesh Chand was the chairman of the committee, and the committee suggested 50% of A2 plus FL ahead of that. He said that ways, please understand this now, that ways at least 20, not most, at least 20% of C2 will be covered. If we give 50% of A2 plus FL, then 20% of C2 will be covered, and the whole headache of calculating C2, fixing price according to C2 can be avoided. So based on that, the government fixed 50% of A2 plus FL, and that is the rule in India today. You understand that? That is how we are doing things at the moment. अब ये भी सोचिए, मैं अखबार में देखता ही नहीं हूँ 50% ऑफ A2 प्लस FL लिखा हुआ, ये भी नहीं देखता कि 2017 तक कोई कानून ही नहीं था। 2017 तक किसानों ने आंदोलन ही नहीं किया, जबकि कोई कानून नहीं था। उनको MSP मिलता ही नहीं था किसी फॉर्मूला पे। तो कुछ अच्छी बातें हो रही हैं, चलिए उनको साहस मिल रहा है, हिम्मत मिल रहा है, 2-3 स्टेट में ही सही कुछ तो हंगामा कर सकते हैं। तो थोड़ा तो आम आदमी पार्टी कुछ कर पाए पंजाब जाकर, कि चलो तुम जाके हंगामा ही कर लो, दैट इज द आइडिया। बट देखिए, मैं पॉलिटिक्स में जाना नहीं चाहता, मैं आपको बताता हूँ पॉलिटिकल थिंग क्या है। अभी जानबूझ के सरकार ने क्या किया है, दे हैव स्टॉप्ड द फार्मर्स ऑन हरियाणा बॉर्डर। यू नो व्हाट दैट ब्रिंग्स इन नेगोशिएशन? What it brings in negotiation is, don't let your contrary side hog the limelight. If they had come to Delhi border, it would have been whole limelight on them. Haryana border, Punjab-Haryana border, it's not that much of a limelight. They will be more agreeing to find a solution now. You hold them there for another 10-15 days, it becomes worse. This is a waiting game going on. सरकार भी बातचीत क्यों इतना कर रहे हैं? उनको पता है 1 महीने में मॉडल कोड ऑफ कंडक्ट लागू होगा, इलेक्शन कमीशन बोलेंगे सबको अपनी अपनी जगह से हटाओ, लॉ एंड ऑर्डर ठीक करो, क्योंकि इलेक्शन कंडक्ट करना है। और अगर लॉ एंड ऑर्डर किसी स्टेट में ठीक नहीं हुआ तो तब तक इलेक्शन उस स्टेट में सस्पेंडेड रहेंगे। तो जिस पार्टी को इंटरेस्ट है कि हंगामा चले, अगर बाई चांस उनको उसी स्टेट से 10 पार्लियामेंट्री सीट मिलने वाले हैं, तो वो सबसे पहले हंगामा कम कर लेंगे। तो ये पॉलिटिकल गेम्स चलते हैं, आप समझिए ये बात। इसीलिए वेट एंड वॉच चल रहा है। अच्छा, अगली आज मिले, तुम्हारी कुछ बात मान लिए। आज भी फार्मर्स ने, आज भी क्या मीटिंग में बात हुई, कल मतलब रात को बात यही हुई कि ठीक है, कुछ जगहों पे हम अग्री कर रहे हैं, बट कुछ जगहों पे डिसअग्री कर रहे हैं, तो अब 18 फरवरी को फिर मिलेंगे। That is what has been the talk, the 3 ministers and the representatives of the farmers. Now till 18th February they have delayed the thing. Maybe something will happen further on that. But what has the central government done at the moment? They know that the state government in Haryana is their party. So they have tried making sure, don't let them come out of that place. Because if they come nearer to the national capital, then it's all national media, no? So this is the game that is happening right now. Now, I don't know what will happen in future, but whatever little world I have seen and interacted with people in politics and all, that is how it goes at times. That, you know, that keep the things ball rolling, keep the things going, and finally one day there will be a way out, per se. But again, I repeat, the way out cannot be hiking MSP. The way out has to be investment in agriculture, reducing the number of people in agriculture, high value crop development in agriculture, institutional reforms in agriculture. That is the way out in agriculture. जो भी बातें आपने एवरग्रीन रिवॉल्यूशन में लिखी थी और कुछ बातें आज लिखवाऊंगा, वही बातें यहाँ पे काम आएगी। ठीक है, अब आप कुछ बातें लिख लीजिए, फिर मैं आगे बढ़ूंगा। You write, MSP is provisioned on 22 crops along with fair and remunerative price on sugarcane. Full stop. The payment of MSP was initiated from 1966, on wheat and rice, and it was gradually extended to other crops. Full stop. The objective of MSP is, and you take it as AB, so you write A, to provide assured returns to the farmers, to provide assured returns to the farmers, so that they can avoid distress sale, and B, to guide the farmers regarding production of crops regarding production of crops by promising higher increase on MSP, by promising higher increase in MSP, on those crops which government wanted them which government wanted them to produce more. Full stop. In the same thing, you write, and one more point you write, C, it also helps in establishing a supply chain. It also helps in establishing a supply chain through which food security can be assured. Food security can be assured as crops can be procured and stored in FCI godown. Full stop, change the paragraph. Out of 20, now these are not the benefits, these are some facts on MSP. So you write, out of 22 crops on which MSP is declared, out of 22 crops on which MSP is declared, comma, 41% of total MSP, 41% of total MSP is paid on paddy, comma, 23% of total MSP is paid on 23% of total MSP is paid on wheat and 9% on mustard. 9% on mustard. Full stop. On 10 other crops, in a bracket you write, mainly pulses and oilseeds. On 10 other crops, mainly pulses and oilseeds, approximately 25% MSP is paid. Full stop. No MSP is required on 6 crops where market price is higher and the rest 3 crops cover 2% of MSP. Change the paragraph. More than 85% of total procurement, more than 85% of total procurement under MSP is conducted in Punjab, Haryana, Western Uttar Pradesh, I'm mentioning Western Uttar Pradesh separately because the structure in Eastern Uttar Pradesh is very weak. All right, it's not that strong in Eastern Uttar Pradesh. Western Uttar Pradesh, it is very strong. All right, so if you look at the whole, the belt of Bagpat, Saharanpur, etc., you will see quite a strong, procurement facility, and farmers are pretty well to do. But if you go towards the eastern side, once you go east of Sultanpur, the differences start getting very stark. All right, so that is the point I'm trying to make to you. All right, in the same thing, then you write Western Uttar Pradesh, Chhattisgarh, Madhya Pradesh, Tamil Nadu, and Maharashtra. Full stop. Therefore, the structure remains weak. The structure remains weak. When I say structure, I mean structure of procurement. The structure remains weak in some of the poorer states of India, in some of the poorer states of India, which leads to increase in regional inequality. Increase in regional inequality. ये एक तरह से हुआ challenge of MSP system that we have created. एक और challenge है इसका. You change the paragraph and write that there is open procurement. There is open procurement on wheat and rice. That is, government promises to purchase any amount of wheat and rice that the farmers are willing to sell in the APMC market. Full stop. On other crops, the procurement structure is weak. On other crops, the procurement structure is weak due to closed procurement system. Due to closed procurement system. Therefore, क्लोज प्रोक्योरमेंट मतलब जितना सरकार ने अनाउंस किया उतना ही खरीदेंगे, आप और अमाउंट लाओगे तो भी वो नहीं खरीदेंगे. ऑलराइट, सो यू राइट देयरफॉर it results in lack of crop diversification. Therefore, it results in lack of crop diversification. Lack of crop diversification and also hurts ecology, as water intensive crops like rice are overproduced. And nitrogen extracting crop like wheat is produced in soil not conducive for it. Is produced in soil not conducive for it. All right, so these are the challenges of the MSP policy that we have seen at the moment. Then you write below that legalizing MSP, this is, change the paragraph, I'm doing another discussion on legalization of MSP, right? Legalizing MSP has been a demand of several farmers full stop. In case of sugarcane, FRP is a legal guarantee but the market experience shows large amount of arrears, ARREARS, large amount of arrears in payment. Large amount of arrears, ARREARS, in payment. It has also shown instances of sale of sugarcane in distress, at price lesser than MSP, FRP, true. At price lesser than FRP by certain farming groups. Change the paragraph again. Giving MSP as a legal guarantee will imply, I repeat, giving MSP as a legal guarantee will imply that anyone buying the crop at lesser than MSP can be booked under a criminal offense. Can be booked under a criminal offense. You change the paragraph and write the possible benefits of legalizing MSP will be the possible benefits of legalizing MSP will be possible benefits of legalizing MSP will be, you write 1, assurance of income for the farmers. Assurance of income for the farmers. 2, possibility of crop diversification. Possibility of crop diversification. If every crop attracts MSP, possibility of crop diversification if every crop attracts MSP. 3, promoting mechanization as farmers will be compensated for extra expenditure. 4th, higher formalization of agriculture. Higher formalization of agriculture as more farmers will be registered under APMC. And one more you write, reducing dependence of farmers on money lenders. Reducing dependence of farmers on money lenders as they will get assured return on crop. All right, these are the possible benefits that can happen if we legalize MSP. You write challenges of legalizing MSP. Challenges of legalizing MSP. And you write first, government's procurement capacity is limited, full stop. Even in wheat and rice, the procurement has never crossed, even in wheat and rice, the procurement has never crossed 45%, 45% of total production. And in many other crops, it is not even 10% of total production. Many other crops, it is not even 10% of total production. Therefore, even if MSP is legalized, the return to farmers is not assured. Second, then you write, the private traders can manipulate the market by procuring the crop but keeping arrears as observed in sugarcane by citing negative market conditions. हमारे एग्रीकल्चरल मार्केट के दो बहुत बड़े दुश्मन हैं, करता हूं और देता हूं. ठीक है, नॉर्मल मार्केट के भी हैं, लेकिन एग्रीकल्चरल मार्केट के तो बहुत तगड़े दुश्मन हैं ये. दे आर बिग एनिमीज. करता हूं मतलब क्या? Would you produce this crop? Will you diversify this crop? Will you be interested in developing a new technique? करता हूं. I'll do it. But then nobody does it. और देता हूं आता है मंडी से. Purchase the crop, then the farmer comes to you, especially in sugarcane it is observed, my money, I'll give you. Then the farmer goes, then again after 2 months, my money, I'll give you. Now, the producer is not saying, I will not give you. The producer, now the people can say, oh, but the farmer can go and the government can take action. What action? You will recover money, then you will give it to the farmer. No. But the point is the product is not sold at the market at that price. So if I am a government, understand this now. Goldie एक question पूछ रहे हैं कि अरियर कैसे रह जाता है बताइए. मैं वही बता रहा हूँ आपको. अगर मैं एक सरकार हूँ और सरकार जो है कहते हैं चीनी का प्राइस मत बढ़ाओ, don't increase the price of sugar, but increase the price of sugarcane. So I know that the sugar mill owners are not making a huge profit over that, and I have kept their capacity restricted regarding how much money they can make from the market. Now I will have not much of a locus standi to go and pressurize them that pay up your dues of the farmers immediately, because we are asking you to do that. You understand that? The sugar mill owners will say, compensate us. आप हमें compensate कर दीजिए, हम उन्हें कर देते हैं. तो वहां बात फंस जाती है. Because compensating them will mean state government budget will have to take the burden. And the state government budget is already in a shaken state. So how does it take the burden? And the arrears remain. हाँ, अब जैसे अभी इलेक्शन आने वाले हैं, तो एजिटेशन होगा. तो मान लीजिए 3,000 करोड़ का एरियर है. If it is 3,000 crore arrear, 500 crore will be released. So everybody will get 500 crore and then it will be a promise. आप हमें जिताइए, हम आने के बाद आपका बाकी भी निकलवाते हैं पैसा. फिर वो जीत के आएंगे, 500 करोड़ और निकलवा देंगे, बाकी फिर फंस जाएगा. अगले इलेक्शन तक ये बढ़कर फिर 5,000 करोड़ हो जाएगा, फिर वही कहानी चलेगी. So we are doing this story continuously, and that is the challenge. That again I repeat, the problem is the market's capability to pay. You can demand one thing, but is the market capable to pay? I would love people to be rich in India, but are they productive enough to be rich? Is the market productive enough to make them rich? Is the government having enough capacity to pay them the money? These are the questions that we should be asking, rather than saying, why aren't we doing it? That is the point, that you will get money based on your productivity. You don't get money for free, anybody for that matter. So we will have to focus on making our farmers more productive, making agriculture more productive, and then the returns will be relatively high. The key is that. Then there is a third challenge with MSP. I hope the earlier part is understood, that what is the mechanism in that. The third part, then you write, third challenge of MSP, procurement facilities are not well developed. Procurement facilities are not well developed to implement the program on a large scale and larger variety of crops. On a large scale and larger variety of crops. I hope you understand that state governments have to do that business. They have to go ahead, set up the structure, procurement houses where farmers, APMC mandis, where farmers can come and sell. Okay, I'll give you a number there also. So we have 1,247, I'm sorry, 2,471 APMC mandis and 4,700 subsidiaries to these APMC mandis, which are also called APMC mandis. There is no major distinction, but they are actually subsidiaries. तो करीब आप broadly पकड़ लो 2,500 APMC मंडी और 4,700 उनके subsidiaries. So broadly 7,100, 7,200 APMC mandis in India. Otherwise 2,471 APMC mandis and 4,700 their subsidiaries. So broadly 7,100, 7,200 APMC mandis in a country with 7 lakh villages. But that's not the story. Out of these 7,200 APMC mandis, a staggering 4,300 are in Punjab, Haryana, Western Uttar Pradesh and Chhattisgarh. So 60% of APMC mandis are in 4 states. So now there are many states in India, like Bihar doesn't do APMC purchase, Bihar does a PSCS purchase, Primary Agricultural Credit Societies, but when the Primary Agricultural Credit Society mandis are missing, Jharkhand has total 1 APMC mandi, 1. This is the state, Assam has none, which is connected to the government. So ये वो state है जिनको ज़्यादा ज़रूरत है. These are states which need more APMC mandis. There should be more presence of those. But the APMC mandis, Aadhaar enabled, connected, almost missing. So this is a big challenge that the procurement facilities are missing to implement the program on a large scale. Next, then you write, next challenge. If MSP is legalized on all 22 crops, if MSP is legalized on all 22 crops, then cost of subsidy to the government in a bracket you write, assuming they purchase half of the crop produced, assuming they purchase half of the crop produced, close the bracket, is estimated at 8.4 lakh crore rupees. 8.4 lakh crore rupees, which will put very large burden on government budget. Which will put very large burden on government budget. So what is the challenge? Where will the money come from? 8 lakh crore. Today think of it, we give 2 lakh crore irrigation subsidy. We give 2 lakh crore food subsidy. We give 1.75 lakh crore fertilizer subsidy. These are all given to the rural areas and the farmers. So this is 5.75 lakh crore. Then we give 60,000 crore rupees PM Kisan. And we give another 89,000 crore rupees Manrega. All given to rural areas, laborers, farmers, and so on. If you add all this up, we are looking at something like 7 lakh crore rupees, slightly more than that, 7.1 lakh crore rupees. सुनिएगा ध्यान से मेरी बात. इसमें अगर मैं ऐड कर दूं पीएम आवास योजना, ग्रामीण, which is another 54,000 crore rupees, and PM Gram Sadak Yojana, which is another 60 odd thousand crore, 71,000 crore rupees, we are looking at something like 8 lakh 45,000 crore rupees. There are approximately 18 crore households in rural areas. If we combine all this money, we can give per household 50,000 rupees, per annum. अब सोचिए 50,000 रुपया तो गेम चेंजर हो जाएगा गरीब किसान के लिए. और अमीर किसान को वैसे भी नहीं मिलना चाहिए, उनको मिल रहा है 50,000, लेके करें जो करना है. बट दिस इज हार्डली प्रपोजेबल ऑल्सो. ये बोलना तक मुश्किल है. मैंने एक बार बात बात में अपने गांव में ऐसे ही बोल दिया, ऐसा कर देते हैं गांव में फिर सब किसानों में बराबर बढ़ जाए. तो 2-4 लोग बिल्कुल गुस्सा हो गए थे. तुम्हारे जैसा आदमी अच्छा है, गांव में नहीं रहता है, ऐसा बोले भी मुझे. It's good that you don't stay in the village. I was given that compliment. It's another issue that the person saying it, forget it. So the point I'm trying to make here is that if we want to actually distribute money, we are already giving a lot of money to rural areas. If you add another 6 lakh crore extra, because 2 lakh crore on MSP we are already giving, if you add another 6 lakh crore rupees, we'll have to find out where does the money come from. And that has to be on a per annum basis, and mind you, this 6 lakh crore will keep rising because we have made it a cost plus. So the costs will keep rising. And that will mean that every year you have to upgrade this. You understand that? So we got to be careful about what numbers we are talking, how will we pay for it, and then what are the alternatives. I hope you're clear till here. Just one more point. Yes, yes. Agreed. I'm not disagreeing. That's very true. But that is based on the gap amount, no? So what is the assumption? That the market will buy everything that I have purchased at the same price that I am expecting them to buy it at? But when I will purchase and create a glut in the market, what will happen to market price? I have always suggested to Namrata, she is the head of economics in Chrysler, that they have a substandard team. उनको हमेशा जब भी मेरी मुलाकात होती, नम्रता मेरे डी स्कूल के बैचमेट थे, उनको मैं हमेशा ये बोलता हूँ कि आपकी टीम सब स्टैंडर्ड है, मेरे पास कुछ अच्छे बच्चे हैं, उनको हायर करिए, वो आपको बेहतर टीम देंगे. क्योंकि ये बहुत खराब असम्पशन है जब आप बोलते हैं दैट द डिफरेंस बिटवीन द प्राइस एट विच आई बाई फ्रॉम द फार्मर एंड द प्राइस दैट द मार्केट विल पे टू द फार्मर, taking it as an aggregate of all crops. Now when you take it as an aggregate of all crops, you're talking cross subsidization. एक क्रॉप पे सब्सिडी देके दूसरे पे एक्स्ट्रा चार्ज करो. Secondly, you are assuming market position will always remain the same. The money will keep flowing in. And you are also assuming that government will procure from the farmers, will have the channel to distribute it in the market, and will be able to sell it in the market at the price which prevails when the private sellers sell it. Who will be allowing government to sell it at a higher price in the market? So it's a convenience choice of data, no? अब तुम समझे क्यों मैं नम्रता को बोलता हूँ घटिया इकोनॉमिस्ट है उनके पास. वैसे मेरा उनके बारे में ब्रॉडली यही ख्याल है, मैं उनको भी यही बोलता हूँ. नहीं, मैं ऑनेस्टली बोल रहा हूँ. मैं मेरी दोस्त है बहुत अच्छी, तो मैं उनको ही बोलता हूँ कि तुम सब स्टैंडर्ड तो ब्रॉडली तुम भी हो, लेकिन चलो तुम्हारी किस्मत ठीक है, तुम आगे बढ़ गए लाइफ में. कि मजाक की बात है वैसे. ऑफ कोर्स शी इज अ डियर फ्रेंड एंड नो ऑफेंसेस मेंट टू हर. मैं उनके मुंह पे ही बोलता हूँ कि तुम पक्का 2-4 वाइन एक्स्ट्रा ले लेते हो पैग, और तब अपने चीज़ें बनाते हो. क्योंकि ये मैंने भी पढ़ा था क्राइसिल का रिपोर्ट, और वहाँ पर भी ये ऑब्जेक्शन रेज किया था, मतलब जब एकेडमिक सर्कल में बात हुई थी, कि ये बहुत ही प्रीपोस्टरस रिपोर्ट है. और यही कहा था मैंने कि इसको कुछ लोग अब मिसयूज करेंगे क्राइसिल का नाम लेकर, कि देखिए क्राइसिल तो ऐसा कहते हैं, आपके ऊपर खर्चा 21,000 करोड़ आएगा. आपको मैं उसका एक बेसिक आइडिया देता हूं. आप मान लीजिए, सुनिएगा ध्यान से मेरी बात, बी केयरफुल हियर. सपोज यू आर 4 रूममेट्स लिविंग इन अ फ्लैट, and you are sharing your food, you are sharing your flat, and so on. One of the roommates says that, look, I don't eat much, so it's better if I don't contribute to the food. अब आप क्या करिए कि जो 4 लोगों का फूड बिल है, उस 4 लोगों के फूड बिल को 4 से डिवाइड मत कीजिए, आप इंडिविजुअल फूड आइटम उठाना शुरू करिए. Look, these many eggs are coming, this much milk, this much amount of rice, this much amount of wheat. ऐसा कुछ बात करिए और बोलिए then this is the total expenditure on food. Automatically the total expenditure will come less because the aggregate will always be larger compared to the singular numbers you are picking. You will not pick say the cost of fuel that you are using. You will not pick the cost of say the cook that is coming along. So there are many other things that get added. तो जब भी तुम singular में put करोगे ना चीज़ों को, तो हमेशा ये आराम से हिसाब किताब किया जा सकता है और आप अपने फ्रेंड को बोल सकते हैं हाँ ठीक है, भले ही मंथली बिल 3,000 आज तक आ रहा था या 4,000 आ रहा था एक पर्सन का, पर अगर तुम विड्रॉ करना चाहते हो तो देख लो मैंने प्रूफ कर दिया कि 1,000 रुपये तुम्हारे खाने का खर्चा है, तुम 1,000 कम दे दो. तो अकाउंटिंग एग्रीगेशन तो किए ही जा सकते हैं ऐसे. बट अगेन आई विल रिपीट एंड अंडरस्टैंड दैट how do we expect that the government will be able to charge the market price when people will know it's a government place selling it? Number one challenge is that. Number two, do we expect the government to have such an elaborate system that they will procure from the farmers and then through that system they will be the ones supplying to the market? If somebody says no, they will not supply to the market, they will sell it to the traders who will then supply to the market, then cut the cost of commission of the trader. क्योंकि वो कमीशन ट्रेडर कंज्यूमर से थोड़ी लेगा, सरकार से भी तो लेगा कि अगर मैं मार्केट में 100 का बेचूंगा तो आपसे 90 का खरीदूंगा. ये कोई हिसाब किताब नहीं और एक रिपोर्ट बना दिए. तो ये होगा ही. खैर अगर कॉलेजेस में बच्चों को ज़्यादा बिजी रखेंगे फेस्ट अरेंज करने में तो ऐसे ही रिपोर्ट लिखेंगे आगे चल के. लेकिन ये मैं आपको बता रहा हूँ, ये खतरनाक है, ये नहीं होना चाहिए था. और ये इसीलिए वो आर्ग्यूमेंट गड़बड़ था जब अखबार में लिख दिया कि क्राइसल ने बोला 21,000 करोड़ ही लगेगा. हाँ, अगर भावांतर भुगतान हो, if we do price deficiency payment, then it is possible we can actually reduce the amount drastically. That government can purchase for food security, and the rest of the purchase can be done by the market, and government can compensate for the price deficiency. That can be a decent idea, but again we will need to develop the administrative structure. We will have to develop a proper legal structure. We will have to inform the farmers well in advance, register them well in advance. All this will have to be done if we want that scheme to work. I'm now taking you to the, yes. So see, even if we say that MSP guarantee is not only on wheat and rice, other things will also be under the legal domain, and maybe the farmers will then diversify. But the important thing is, even if you diversify, I'll teach you this. You will have to give me time till tomorrow. But understand this: today's India's agriculture is not facing a problem of shortage in majority of the crops. We have a problem of surplus, and you don't handle a surplus by giving a price support. You handle a surplus by creating structure to imbibe that surplus. For example, जब मेरे शुरू की बातों पे चले जाओ, फूड प्रोसेसिंग चेन बना लें तो सरप्लस सड़ेगा नहीं, फार्मर को डिस्ट्रेस सेल नहीं करना होगा. अगर कृषि उड़ान, कृषि रेल, इनको स्केल अप करें तो सामान नहीं फंसा रहेगा गांव में, मार्केट तक जाएगा. अगर इनाम को ब्रॉडन करें तो ज्यादा सामान बिकेगा ज्यादा जगहों पे. समझ लो मेरी बात. तो उसको मैनेज करना है कि मार्केट के हिसाब से चले. अगर हम एमएसपी फिक्स करें तो बहुत ज्यादा मार्केट डिस्टॉर्ट कर देते हैं हम लोग, क्योंकि एमएसपी फिक्स होता है कॉस्ट प्लस बेसिस पे. मार्केट शायद उतना देने को तैयार ना हो. सी, एमएसपी हाइक कैन बी डन प्रोवाइडेड इट इज जस्टिफाइड बाय मार्केट्स विलिंगनेस टू पे ऑल्सो. मैंने शुरुआत में क्या कहा कि किसान व्हीट और राइस की जगह अगर भिंडी उगा ले, अगर पल्सेस उगा ले, ऑयल सीड्स उगा ले, फ्लावर्स उगा ले, तो उनको मिल जाएंगे अच्छे पैसे. अब एक आर्ग्यूमेंट और पुट करता हूं आपको, सुनिएगा. द फास्टेस्ट ग्रोइंग एग्रीकल्चरल सेक्टर इन द लास्ट 4 years हैज बीन पोल्ट्री, growing at around 9%. Second fastest is fishery, growing at 7.5%. And third fastest is dairy, growing at around 6.5%. None of these have MSP. Understand that. इनमें से कहीं मिनिमम सपोर्ट प्राइस नहीं है, ना पोल्ट्री में, ना फिशरी में, ना डेयरी में. क्यों ग्रो कर रहा है फास्ट? क्योंकि मार्केट डिमांड क्रिएट कर रही है और सरकार स्ट्रक्चर दे रहे हैं। एक अमूल बना दिए डेयरी के लिए, एक मत्स्य संपदा योजना बना दी है फिशरी के लिए, एक सिल्वर रिवॉल्यूशन स्कीम बना दी है पोल्ट्री के लिए, इंटीग्रेटेड फार्मिंग के टेक्निक्स बढ़ाने लगे लोगों के बीच में, पोल्ट्री फार्मिंग के लिए सब्सिडी देने लगे जैसे वेस्ट बंगाल गवर्नमेंट देते हैं। तो जब आप ये करेंगे ना, तो आपने किसान को एम्पावर किया और उनके ग्रोथ करवाए। इफ द फार्मर इज ग्रोइंग, द फार्मर विल अर्न मनी। बट इफ वी वांट टू कीप देम ऑन चैरिटी, कि नहीं मुझ पर डिपेंडेंट रहो, तो फिर अभी यही हो रहा है। इसको भस्मासुर इसी को कहते हैं। That I thought that I will control the whole agitation. You can't. It's playing with fire. Always understand that. Political class सोचते हैं कि मैं थोड़ा आग लगा लेता हूं, फिर मैं इस आग को कंट्रोल कर लूंगा। वो रियलाइज नहीं करते हैं that this fire can go big and that can destroy you also in the process. And that is the thing we are having at the moment, कि हमने इतने दिनों तक फार्मर्स को डिपेंडेंट रखा है कि अब वो बोलते हैं मेरी डिपेंडेंसी कोई और बढ़ा दो, मैं उसी के लिए लड़ूंगा। Give me more subsidy. Don't teach me how to earn better. I'll sit and I'll earn. That is the dangerous thing we are seeing today. Okay. Then you write below that. Could you tell me the point that you had written? Again, please. Yeah. Thank you. Just one more apart from that you write. Yes. I'll repeat it for all. For poultry, it is around 8.5%. For fisheries, it is around 7.5%. And for dairy, it is 6.5%. All right, last 4 years data I'm giving you, 2021 to 22-23, 19-20 to 22-23. We don't have the data for 23-24 as yet. Okay, then you write one more point in this. Legalizing MSP will require administrative preparation, so that out of market procurement by private traders can be checked, which will increase cost of administration, for the government. Then you write alternative. Just one more thing, sorry. एक बात और मैं लिखवाना आपको भूल गया, अब वो लिख लो फिर alternative पे चलेंगे. This is not a challenge. Alternative की बात मैं कर रहा था, that what is the alternative then? What is the way forward? All right, to legalizing MSP. But before that, you write one more point in that. You write payment of 50% plus C2. Sorry, my mistake. You write it as payment of 1.5 times C2. Payment of 1.5 times C2. ये वाला C2. All right. So payment of 1.5 times C2 or even 1.5 times A2 plus FL or even 1.5 times A2 plus FL. Why do I say that? 1.5 times C2, Swaminathan Commission report. 1.5 times A2 plus FL, what we are actually giving. All right, so even 1.5 times A2 plus FL does not incentivize the farmers, to cut cost to cut cost and make agriculture more efficient. Okay, I have a question that will open procurement system for other crops and close procurement for wheat and rice good. That will also not help much because end of the day then people will still remain dependent on MSP and a cost plus basis and so on. I'll give you the alternatives. What is the alternative? Also remember the licensed traders are in a position to exploit the farmers. How they exploit the farmers, I'll teach you that. Alright, that कैसे वो exploitation होती है. But एक आसान तरीका समझिए क्या करते हैं वो. They have to pay the MSP to the farmers, so they pay MSP to the farmers, but what they do along with that is they charge a lot of extra fee from the farmers, like mandi fee, storage cost, measurement cost, and they say that we are giving all these facilities to the farmers and hence we are charging it. But the point is that the charges are exorbitant and the farmers are not having a huge bargaining power because they cannot take the crop back to the village, and in that case they end up paying much more than what they would be expected to. So that is a way in which traders do exploit the farmers. They also cartelize together to exploit the farmers. And there's one more question I see that haven't molasses used in biofuel diversified the options? Well, they have. But again, see what the government does. So as a sugarcane farmer, if the sugar mill is not buying from me, or as a sugar mill owner, if I'm not able to recover cost, I can sell it to, say, people developing molasses or baggeries, and I can get my money from them. But what does the government do? They fear there might be a shortage of sugar this year in India, and they say all banned. How do you do business in a system where everything is banned? And that also banned without you knowing when will it be banned. तो certainty के बिना business कैसे होगा? तो आप कहेंगे मोलासेस को बेच दो के लिए बेच दो या बायोफ्यूल के लिए बेच दो, ये अच्छी बात है, इससे फार्मर्स को भी अपॉर्चुनिटी है, जो शुगर केन खरीदने वाले हैं उनको भी अपॉर्चुनिटी है. लेकिन आप बीच में ही आएंगे अचानक एक दिन एंड देन वन फाइन डे यू कम एंड से नो फ्रॉम नाउ ऑनवर्ड्स नॉट अलाउड फॉर द नेक्स्ट 6 months. हाउ डू आई नो when are you going to do this to me? Understand that. It's like सोचिए अगर मेरे फादर मुझे बोले कि तुम यूपीएससी करो, बोलते थे जब मैं पढ़ रहा था तो तुम्हें यूपीएससी की तैयारी करनी चाहिए, तुम आईएएस बनने की कोशिश करो, तुम्हें कोशिश करनी चाहिए. तो मैंने उनको यही कहा था एक दिन, उम्र कम थी मेरी, आई वॉज 19 व्हेन आई वॉज डूइंग माई मास्टर्स, तो 21 में ख़त्म कर रहा था. तो मैंने कहा कि ठीक है मैं दे दूंगा यूपीएससी, आई विल डू दैट, लेकिन एक प्रॉमिस करो. हमारे टाइम पे 4 अटेम्प्ट थे उस समय में, you could take 4 attempts till the age of 28. So I said, I'll keep taking this UPSC, but for a second, if I don't qualify, then you will make sure that I get something guaranteed. Otherwise, let me do what I'm doing. And he said, how do I guarantee things? I said, that's my point, that you can't guarantee it and you are not letting me do what I'm trying to do. That will be a challenge. अब यही सरकार करते हैं, वो फादर बन जाते हैं, बोलते हैं आप लोग ऐसे बेचिए. अगर किसान बोले मुझे गारंटी दे दो, तो वो गारंटी कर नहीं सकते. लेकिन किसान को हर मिनट पे कंट्रोल करते हैं, तुम ये इनपुट खरीदो, तुम इतना प्रोडक्शन करो, तुम यहीं पे जाके बेचो, तुम यही वाला आउटपुट प्रोड्यूस करो. क्यों? ये करने की क्या जरूरत है? लेट द फार्मर डिसाइड what they would like to produce, where they want to sell, what price they would like to charge, and government can regulate the way they regulate industries. सब लोग किसानों को ही सलाह देने जाते हैं, आप देखेंगे ये. फिर आप कहेंगे सर ये फूड का बात है, कॉस्टली हो सकता है या मार्केट में एसेंशियल है. एसेंशियल तो सॉल्ट भी है, एसेंशियल तो स्टील भी है, एसेंशियल तो क्लोथ्स भी हैं. तो आप सोच के देखिए, फिर तो सभी पे रेगुलेशन लगाएं और वापस चले हैप्पी प्री 1991. यही कह के तो रेगुलेशन लगता था हर चीज पर, that we want to control the price, we want to control distribution. So again, the moral of the story that I was trying to teach you was educate the farmers, give them extension services, give them proper methods of cultivation, invest in agriculture, and set them free by giving them a good market opportunity. That kind of alternative works well for them rather than something else that we talk about. So you write this up, you write, yes.
Given that we are already in comparative with the global market, and with this legalizing, the retail cost will go high. So how will we control the imports? Like again, we'll have to put duties.
We already have a lot of restrictions on imports in India. We don't allow imports very easily. But the problem is, how do we control inflation overall? Because if the price of agricultural products starts rising a lot, then your inflation can't be stopped because of the wage price spiral that one will have. So that wage price spiral will become a big challenge. And all this to do what? To give guaranteed MSP to those farmers who are already comparatively richer. The talk is that ultimately whose benefit are we arguing? That is the aspect. And is it the only way to benefit them, or are there alternatives? The argument has to be that, actually. And if there are alternatives, let's try that, which can be lesser costly. Absolutely. It didn't happen for them. That is why I find it very interesting when many people say that it's because of the neoliberal reforms that agriculture suffered. Because the neoliberal reforms never reached the agricultural sector. There is no reform in India's villages. I mean, that is my starting point of the argument whenever I talk agriculture. That the cities did well because they had reform, industries did well because it was reformed, services did well because it was reformed, and agriculture got lagging behind because they were never reformed. And why were they never reformed? Because we are unable to break the feudalistic relations in our rural area. You look at some of you must be, most of you I hope, and some of you surely, must be going to the rural area. Look at the reprehensible casteism you will see there. एलर्जी होगी तुम्हें वो देखकर. लोगों की बात जब कास्ट वगैरह पे सुनोगे तो लगे कैसी बात कर रहे हैं, किस जिंदगी को जी रहे हैं अभी भी. लेकिन वो क्यों वही रह गए और वो उसका फायदा उठा रहे हैं जो ये बात कर रहे हैं. वो बदलाव आएगा तो उनको फायदा मिलना बंद हो जाएगा. द वन whom you call vested interest. So they don't want the change to happen because that is their only ticket to glory. मैं उम्मीद करता हूं आप में से कोई ऐसे नहीं होंगे, लेकिन गांव में बहुत कॉमनली देखता हूं एक पर्टिकुलर तरह के लोगों को. वो हमेशा बोलेंगे जब मेरे ग्रैंडफादर हाथी पे चलते थे तो हाथी उनको कुचल देता था. बट एनीवेज, जोक्स अपार्ट, अब ग्रैंडफादर हाथी पे चलते होंगे, क्या करें उसका? I'm not saying don't take pride in the family, but why unnecessarily keep talking about the family when all is now in the past and you have something future to look up to? मेरे भी ग्रैंडफादर ठीक ठाक सेटल्ड थे, लेकिन अगर मैं यही सोचूं कि मेरे ग्रैंडफादर ने क्या किया या मेरे फादर ने क्या किया तो मैं भूल जाऊंगा मैं क्या कर रहा हूं. I got to understand that what is my contribution, what am I doing? तो वो ग्लोरी में कैसे आप रह सकते हैं हमेशा. लेकिन हमारे जो रूरल सिस्टम है वो उसी तरह बांट के रखते हैं. कास्ट के बेसिस पे कभी कभी एक वेल अटेन्ड आदमी को, हो सकता है वो ऑफिसर भी हो, हम लोग जब कहते हैं ना जो ऑफिसर बन गया उनको ना मिले रिजर्वेशन, आप गांव जाइए कभी, ऑफिसर को उनके मुंह पे बोल देते हैं अब तो तुम लोग भी बड़े आदमी बन गए हो, तुम लोग भी. ये कैसी बात करने का तरीका है? ये हमारा रूरल एरिया है और हमें इसको सुधारना ही पड़ेगा. सुधारने का तरीका वही है दैट जमीन के बाहर इनकम क्रिएट करिए so that those who don't have the land can have the hope to become rich and compete. तो जमीन के बाहर इनकम कैसे आएगी? एजुकेशन से, इंडस्ट्रियलाइजेशन से, इकोनॉमिक एक्टिविटी ग्रो करने से, तभी जमीन के बाहर इनकम आएगी. नहीं तो जिनके पास जमीन है उनका पूरा रुतबा चलता है भाई. गांव पूरा सराउंड करता है उनको, कैसे ये आ गए भाई, इनके पास जमीन है, लोग घूम फिर के आपके पास, अरे तुम कैसे हो, सब क्या है, एंड सो ऑन. दैट इज द सिस्टम वी नीड टू ब्रेक, नो, बिकॉज दैट इज द वेस्टेजेस ऑफ फ्यूडलिज्म स्टिल एग्जिस्टिंग इन इंडियाज रूरल एरियाज बिकॉज ऑफ लैक ऑफ रिफॉर्म्स ओवर देयर. एंड दिस लैक ऑफ रिफॉर्म इज मेनी पीपल डोंट वांट दैट रिफॉर्म टू हैपन because they will become irrelevant if the reforms happen. The point I'm again reiterating is that. So this is what, if India has to grow, that system has to go. That is the point. अगर वो नहीं सिस्टम जाएगा तो इंडिया के ग्रोथ में मुसीबत है, क्योंकि हम सभी को सरकारी नौकरी देके तो अपलिफ्ट नहीं कर सकते. कैसे सरकारी नौकरी लीजिए और रिजर्वेशन ले लीजिए, थोड़ा ऊपर चले आइए. अपलिफ्टमेंट तो होगी जब बहुत तरह की नौकरी बने सभी तबके के लोगों के लिए और उनको फिट बनाया जाए कि वो हर तरह की नौकरी में फिट हो सके. That is where the caste system can then be obliterated. You will see a lot of less caste talk, at least I have moved a lot across India, बहुत कम कास्ट की बात मैंने सुनी, एक्सेप्ट आई हैव बीन लिटिल लेस टू द नॉर्थ ईस्टर्न स्टेट्स, बट few visits I have had there, but very less caste talks you would see in places like West Bengal. Hardly I saw people talking caste. Sometimes even hardly talking religion. अभी नया पे जहर शुरू हुआ है वहाँ, but hardly people talking religion. People would intermarry, nobody would bother. अब एक कास्ट में शादी किया, दूसरे कोई पूछता भी नहीं तुमने किस कास्ट में, कास्ट का मतलब ही नहीं कुछ। अच्छा तुम्हें पसंद है, दोनों सेटल्ड हो, कर लो शादी, कोई बात नहीं। और ये विलेजेस की कहानी है, मतलब शहर को तो छोड़ दीजिए, शहर में तो कोई पूछता भी नहीं है कि तुम मैरिड हो या नहीं। दे आर अ मच डेवलप्ड कल्चर दैट वे, that I can tell you, that they are more individualistic. Maybe British had a larger presence there, so that had an impact. But that is how I saw it. So वो कैसे टूटा, लेकिन cosmopolitan culture से। ज़्यादातर लोग सर्विस क्लास हैं। So if more people are service class, automatically in a service class you don't stop bothering about those things which are mundane. You are more bothered about day-to-day life. कहाँ से आ रहा है मेरा पैसा, खाना है या नहीं टेबल पे, अब ये चिंता में हो। वो तो जब पेट भरा है और कोई और मेरे 200 बीघा की खेती कर रहा है, तब मैं पलथी मार के बताता हूं ना स्वर्ग जाने का रास्ता कौन सा है। तो ये फ्यूडलिस्टिक सिस्टम में होता है, that my stomach is filled and somebody else is cultivating my land. Now I can lecture the world about what is good, what is bad, what should have been done, how the world is going to the dogs, and how I could have been a savior but I'm not interested. All this happens then. So understand it like that. Feudalistic culture is a big danger to Indian rural area, and the only or a big antithesis to it is if we can reform it. The Chinese started there. Deng was a smart person. The Chinese started it there. They started in their rural areas. They didn't come to urban straight away. They gave more freedom to rural areas. They liberalized the rural areas. They liberalized the cooperative system. They made the rurals a little rich. And then they said, okay, now we are opening up. And now we are creating the special economic zones and all. So it's a very interesting story. If only syllabus would not have restricted me, I would have loved to talk to you more on these comparisons. But right now I can't. But understand this, that this is the idea to think that if we can only bring more reforms in our rural system, and that can begin by bringing investment and rural industrialization and so on, then maybe we can grow things better. अब आप कंपेयर करिएगा, जब मैंने कुछ क्लासेस पहले कहा था कि 20 आईआईटी बना लो या 30 आईआईएम बना लो, जब तक सेकेंडरी स्कूल हर गांव में नहीं खोलोगे, डेवलपमेंट रुका ही रहेगा। यही सब बातें मेरे दिमाग में रहती है। अब क्या करें, काश मेरे पास भी हनुमान जी की अगर खोपड़ी खोल देता, मतलब सब कुछ ले लो तुम लोग, जो सब मैंने पढ़ रखा है, but with a lot of reading inside, there are so many facets I would like to touch, but that is the idea. आप सेकेंडरी स्कूल देंगे तब तो गांव में बच्चे पढ़ेंगे, और पढ़ेंगे वहीं से इमेंसिपेशन होगा ना, पढ़े बिना तो नहीं हो सकता है। एजुकेशन विल बी द बिग रोल, कैन प्ले अ बिग रोल, और पढ़े मतलब क्वालिटी एजुकेशन, not the kind of education we are today subjecting many of our children to. क्वालिटी एजुकेशन अगर दे दें, जैसी एजुकेशन आपको मिल गई, मुझे मिल गई, हम लकी हो गए ना लाइफ में। तो वो एजुकेशन अगर मिल जाए सबको, तो आप सोचिए, दे विल बी इनोवेटेड, दे विल फाइंड देयर पाथ, एंड दैट विल बी द बीटिंग ऑफ कास्ट एंड थिंग्स एंड सो ऑन, दोस नैरो मेथड्स ऑफ लुकिंग एट थिंग्स। अब ये मत सोचिएगा, आप कहिएगा नहीं सर मैंने बहुत सारे पढ़े लिखे लोगों को देखा है वो कास्ट के नजरिए से देखते हैं। बिल्कुल, क्योंकि वो उसी समाज में रह रहे हैं। लेकिन अगर समाज में सब पढ़ लिख जाए तरीके से, तो ये नजरिया खत्म हो जाएगा। जैसे आप जब स्कूल में पढ़ते थे तो कितने लोगों का पूरा नाम पूछते थे? आपको वो अकल नहीं थी, आप समाज में नहीं घुसे थे तब तक। यू हैड नॉट एंटर्ड द सोसाइटी, सो यू डिडंट नो द कास्ट थिंग। पहली बार मेरे बेटे से 8th में किसी ने पूछ लिया तुम्हारा कास्ट क्या है, तो घर आके मुझसे पूछ रहे थे मेरा कास्ट क्या है। हाँ बोला, बोलना जाके ह्यूमन हूं मैं, होमोसेपियंस। लेकिन ये धीरे धीरे समाज आपको सिखाता है कास्ट आइडेंटिटी। अदरवाइज कास्ट आइडेंटिटी इज मिसिंग इन मोस्ट ऑफ द केसेस, स्पेशली इन द अर्बन कॉस्मोपॉलिटन कल्चर। इट्स हार्डली टॉक्ड अबाउट। घर में कितनी बार ही बात होती है कि इस कास्ट के हैं हम, या हमें ऐसा करना है, हार्डली देयर इज टॉक। ये समझा रहा हूं, ये रूरल कल्चर को अगर ऐसे बनाने लग जाए पढ़ा लिखा के, वी कैन बी मच बेटर ऑफ। ओके, यू नाउ राइट बिलो दैट द वे फॉरवर्ड और द alternatives. So you write alternative to making MSP a legal guarantee. Alternative to making MSP a legal guarantee. And you write 1 in that. There should be higher amount of investment in agriculture. There should be higher amount of investment in agriculture. Then 2, farmers should get the opportunity. Farmers should get the opportunity of assured irrigation through local means to improve productivity. To improve productivity. 3, crop diversification should be encouraged. Crop diversification should be encouraged. Especially growth of high value crops. Growth of high value crops. 4th, better post-harvest infrastructure should be developed. I'll teach you more on post-harvest infrastructure. Right now, you just write it down. Better post-harvest infrastructure should be developed to assure higher returns and less wastage. 5th, there should be input reforms like easier availability of credit, incentive to mechanize, and more growth of farming cooperatives, and farmer producer organizations to assure better bargaining power and efficient production, for the farmers. And one more you write. Encouraging growth of food processing, and growth of food processing and other other agro-based industries to create ready market for agricultural products. And one more you write. Again, I'm making you write a line here, but I'll explain it to you in the next class, that is tomorrow. You write one more line. अब इसके बाद मुझे आपको चीज़ें पढ़ानी है, एक दो बातें और लिखवानी है. कल की बात मैंने इस कंटेक्स्ट में कही है. जैसे ही मैंने कहा कल, दो चार आंखें तुरंत, अच्छा वाह, ऐसे ही करो तुम, 10 मिनट लेट आओ और 2 मिनट पहले छोड़ो. Anyways, but let's see this. You write one more point below that. It is viable to promote integrated farming, and just to tell you, integrated farming is when you do various practices on the farm which are supporting and get supported by each other. All right. For example, you develop a poultry, and the poultry, the excreta of the poultry can become your fertilizer, and then the excreta of the poultry can also become the feed for your duckling if you are rearing ducks and all. And then the water can become more and more biodiversified with ducks and poultry and all, which can give you humus for your soil, and water table can be kept conserved. And when you grow good crops, the crop haystack and all can become the feed for your poultry and your cattle and so on. So it's like all the things become supportive to each other and support each other. So in the process, you are doing agriculture, and you are doing cropping, you are doing poultry, you are doing dairying, you are doing, say, beekeeping, and they are all supporting each other and get supported by each other. That's integrated farming. In GS, they have asked this question once for 10 marks about the relevance of integrated farming and what is integrated farming. I'll give you a 200-word dictation on this, but in optional also, it's always a possibility, because the government is promoting all these things a lot. That integrated, like, you know, a collusion of beekeeping, poultry, cattle rearing, along with farming on the land. So always think in terms of all of those, even aquaculture, like developing a small pond, artificial, and growing fish in that and then selling it off. So all those things are quite promoted at the moment in India. Okay. So this is this is one thing that we had. I told you that there are 2 more prices that are announced in agriculture. तो ये तो MSP की पूरी कहानी थी, मैंने कहा एक बार में खत्म कर लेते हैं. वैसे जितना मैंने सोचा था उससे हमें थोड़ा ज़्यादा टाइम लग गया, बट ठीक है, आपका समझना ज़रूरी है, क्योंकि ये इतना ज़्यादा डिबेट में है that it can always come in one place or the other. It should be. The second point, you write, the second type of price, you write. So first was MSP. Now the second type of price. ये जितनी कहानी थी वो MSP पे थी. अभी second type of price की बात कर रहा हूँ. This is called procurement price, and this is the price at which government buys food grains and other crops from farmers in a normal year. All right. मैंने एक बहुत पहले खराब पिक्चर देखी थी. इट वॉज वेरी बैड मूवी. उसमें किसी को पकड़ के जेल में लाते थे ना, तो सब थाली पीटते थे. मैं अब जल्दी जल्दी कोर्स खत्म कर रहा हूँ, मुझे लग रहा है एक दिन आएगा जिस दिन सब बोतल पीटते रहेंगे. खत्म करो, टन 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 टन. तो अभी एक गिराएगा, फिर दूसरे. मुझे डर भी लगता है किसी दिन. और अब कभी कभी तो आप कहाँ गए, हाँ देखो वो गिर जाती है क्लास में ही. चलो तो वो भी खतरनाक बात हो जाती है कि तुम बोतल गिराओ मेरे को, मैं खुद ही गिरती हूँ। बात ही खत्म। अब मोटे तू क्लास लेके दिखा। तो ये खतरनाक काम आप लोग कर देते हैं। बट एनीवेज, सो दिस इज अ नॉर्मल ईयर, दिस इज नॉट MSP, दिस विल बी kept closer to the price in the market. So this is when government buys food grains and other crops from the farmers in a normal year, when their price has not taken a hit. All right, but it won't mean government will fix it at market price. Government may fix it slightly above the market price or slightly below the market price, depending on how the market is behaving. All right, that is procurement price. India में अब procurement price का culture खत्म हो गया है. Nobody remembers procurement price. We hardly talk about it. Everybody talks MSP. So even in a normal year, the government ends up declaring MSP rather than ideally declaring a procurement price. And then the third thing is what is called issue price. This is the price at which FCI releases food grains in the market. Like, just to give you an understanding, 800 million people in India are today getting an issue price of 0 rupees on wheat, rice, and millets released through FCI under National Food Security Act. I hope this statement makes sense to you. That there are 800 million people who are beneficiaries of NFSA, and what is the price of wheat, rice, and millet in NFSA now? 0 rupees. That is the issue price in that sense. All right. एक और बात इसमें समझ लेना आप, इन्हीं तीन बातों के बेसिस पे, that MSP or procurement price plus cost of transportation plus cost of storage and incidentals. Now, when we say cost of storage and incidental is threshing, milling the crop and so on. You know, आप जब crop को grain से निकालते हैं, उन सब का पैसा. So threshing of the crop, milling of the crop, that is the cost of incidentals. Minus issue price is equal to food subsidy. So MSP or procurement price plus cost of transportation plus cost of storage and incidentals minus issue price is the food subsidy that we give in India. I hope we can stay on that. All right. आप बस एक heading दे दो जहां मैं कल बात शुरू रुक जाओ जहां मैं कल बात शुरू करूंगा. You write it down. You write. So I again repeat, we discussed things on price subsidy today and benefits, challenges, legalizing MSP, benefits of that, challenges of that, and so on. You just give a heading today, fertilizer subsidy in India. Fertilizer subsidy in India. There was just one proposal I had that if required, I'm not saying necessarily, I'm not in that zone right now, but after tomorrow we can take a call. If required, since we are, because of the prelims test and all, the room may not be available, but we don't have to write a lot. So I might call you on Sunday for a Zoom session where for 1.5 hours or 2 hours, I will teach you some more topics on agriculture so that we can get over with few things. So after tomorrow's class, I will take a call. अगर बच गई कुछ बातें करने को, तो Sunday को आपको बुला के Zoom पे मैं वो खत्म कर दूंगा. टाइम नहीं चेंज करूंगा मैं ताकि आपका कोई भी और शेड्यूल डिस्टर्ब ना हो. ऑलराइट. और वो रिकॉर्डेड सेशन होगा. अगर होता है तो आपको नहीं देख पाए उसे तो रिकॉर्डिंग भी देख सकते हैं. एक दिन जरूरत पड़ी तो मैं खुद ही चाहता हूं ऑफलाइन रहे, बट अगर जरूरत पड़ी तो. ऑलराइट, आई विल सी यू देन टुमारो. थैंक यू. थैंक यू दिव्यांशी. थैंक यू देवाशीष. थैंक यू भूमिका. गॉड ब्लेस यू. एक सेकंड लूंगा बच्चे बस. Yes, micro reforms can lead to inclusive growth. God bless you. Ritu, I'm answering your question. God bless you. Market opportunity means allowing them to, God bless you, allowing them to sell in the market. MSP was given as recommended by Ministry of Agriculture. Anmol, I am answering your question. मिलिंग जो मिक्सिंग कर जो मतलब जैसे थ्रेशिंग हुआ जो तुमने गेहूं निकाला ग्रेन में से, और मिलिंग का मतलब फिर उनको क्लीन किया और असेंबल करके एक जगह रख लिया. थैंक यू करण, थैंक यू गीता, थैंक यू हिमांशु, थैंक यू वंशिका, थैंक यू भूमिका, थैंक यू देवाशीष, थैंक यू ऑल ऑफ यू. आई विल सी यू टुमारो एट 3 o'clock then. Thank you. Yes.